Welcome to Whole CEO with Lisa G. I'm the best-selling author of The Boss Weight Loss. I'm bringing you the top tips to be unstoppable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to actually pull up a chair with today's top experts in weight loss, mindset, and business. Learn our top tips to set you up for success so that you can have more energy, be fit and resilient, and feel unstoppable. Welcome to Whole CEO with Lisa G. Today we're sitting down with Dr. Isabel Hunsinger, a Cuban American. She's been a doctor since 1991. She got into functional medicine too, to focus on the root cause of diseases and its treatments. And she actually went into being a doctor since she was 5. She knew she wanted to be a doctor. So I am so impressed that you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me to Lisa G.
Isabel is in the house. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I know that we've had so much of a crisis in our country these days with anxiety, depression. So I want to jump right in with the content about how can you help our audience overcome anxiety and depression naturally?
Oh, very, very easily. May I share my story? Because I feel like people really get so much more when they know that you've been in the ditch. Course. And you've crawled your way out of the ditch.
That's why you're here. I want you to share.
It's so cool that you're in California, I'm in New Zealand, and we're still like connecting. I just love this.
Me too. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I've been a medical doctor since 1991. And then in 2013, I gave away private practice and started to focus on just functional medicine. And I started doctoronamission.com. That's our website. And I knew nothing about being an entrepreneur, with a website. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so I was a wife, a doctor, a mother, a daughter, doing all these things. And now an entrepreneur going, holy moly, what am I doing? Trying to juggle it all and doing it all ourselves, right? As we do, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And after a year in 2014, I felt overwhelmed. I knew that I had too much on my plate. I was so anxious. I was menopausal, but I didn't really pay attention to it. And what had happened was I went through a series of 17 nights of only sleeping for 2 hours each night.
I feel your pain there. I mean, that's awful.
Yes, it was awful. By the end of the 17 nights, I found myself trying to take away my life. I tried doing that twice in 3 days, and I was saved from that. I know I was saved from that. And that was a really terrible time. And I was placed on antidepressants. My psychiatrist, I was with a psychiatrist going, oh my gosh, a doctor with a psychiatrist, I'm going to lose my license. But the psychiatrist said, you're going to be on antidepressants for the rest of your life, Isabel. And I just knew deep down inside that that was not going to be my story. So I went on a 5-year journey that cost thousands of dollars, and I made lots of mistakes. And I discovered the many causes to overcome anxiety and depression naturally. And now, way over on the other side of that journey, I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not feeling anxious anymore. I'm feeling totally hopeful. And I no longer need the antidepressants. I know how to stay away from anxiety and depression naturally, something that's not taught in medicine. So that's what I feel like I've changed. I've taken my message and I've taken my mess and turned it into a message. And the message is there is hope. You don't have to be on antidepressants for the rest of your life. For some people, they work, I'm not against pharmaceuticals. There's a place for them, but there's also a place for correcting your foundation and being healed. And
is that nutritionally how you're doing this?
There's a lot of different areas that one needs to look at. Do you want me to talk about the ones that or
Yeah, help
significant?
us out. Give us
Sure.
a couple hacks on how we can heal naturally.
Thank you. Well, the first is you need to look at your ACE score. And for those of you who aren't familiar with your ACE score is your adverse childhood experiences. And those are experiences that happened in your childhood that stick with you.
Right.
And you don't even realize that they're still with you, but they're affecting you. And for me, if your score is greater than 4 or more, then you've got a high risk of suicide later on in life. I was never taught that in medical school.
Right.
And if you've got an ACE score of greater than 4, your risk of suicide is 1,200 times increase.
Wow, that's insane. So we all have our subconscious childhood traumas, and that's where you start?
Yes, that's where I would recommend is knowing where this all started and checking out your past. Because
Right.
look, Lisa, we all have experiences, right? But let's not stay stuck in those experiences. We all have bad experiences, but don't let those bad experiences be your lifetime experiences. And that's what I learned. So that kind of opened up my eyes. So adverse childhood experiences, definitely important.
Right.
The next is you're so aware of nutrition. Oh my gosh, nutrition. Nutrition is so important. And I always like when I'm coaching on Zoom, I always like to teach people, look, you got 3 plates in front of you. Your first plate is your macronutrients. You want to have a balanced plate of food. That'll equal balanced blood sugar, which will equal balanced mood. If you're not eating your correct macronutrients of your protein, good fats, and your good carbohydrates all at one time, then your blood sugars are going to be going like this, and so is your mood. Who needs that?
And your hormones.
And that's another thing that we talk about is hormones, especially for women.
Oh, yeah.
It's not taken seriously.
It's serious. That could lead to anxiety and depression alone.
Yes. And we know, yeah. Oh, have you experienced any problems with hormones?
Oh my gosh. Am I female? Yeah. 100%. I really feel that it's one of those things no one talks about, but it's like the nutritional answers are important. Fitness answers are important. Hormonal balancing is important. And it should be a topic that's okay to discuss.
Yes, absolutely. And so I just say, women, pay attention to your hormones and find a doctor that will listen to you and not just say, eh.
I love the holistic approach that you take. And also too, I know that you talk about preventing and reversing diabetes, which is, people are such higher risk for COVID these days if they have diabetes, correct?
Yes. Yes, because they're at home eating more.
The social distance from the fridge is what's needed.
Yeah. And social distancing from advertisement on TV, which kind of like sparks your brain to, oh, I think I am hungry for that chocolate fudge sundae.
Well, the key is subliminal messages. Yeah, it's crazy. So how can we help reverse diabetes naturally too?
Well, the first is knowing that you can, and knowing that just because you've got a family history of diabetes does not mean that you have to have it. You may express it, but you can suppress it. And you do it by eating correctly with your exercise. And if I may talk about an online course that we've got to help people with that. We've got an online course. It's a 5-week self-education course to help people reverse their prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, because they can, and they can work with their doctor to come off their Lantus, come off their insulin, come off their medication safely, because they don't need it anymore, because their pancreas is working well. And the key to doing that is, 1, knowing that you can, and 2, knowing that prediabetes can increase your risk of heart attacks and strokes. So don't think that prediabetes is no big deal. Type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, it's big.
It is. It is huge. And just the big deal is eat clean food. And when I heard this, like from Dr. Mark Hyman, my mentor in functional medicine, when I heard about this in 2013, that was one of the reasons why I started Dr. on a Mission. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much hope, because we didn't have this in medical school. We were like, no. Here's a pill. This is going to be your life for the rest of your life. You're going to go blind. You're going to lose sensation. You might even have amputations in your feet. You might have a heart attack. You might have a stroke. That's just the way. That's just the journey that you're going to have for the rest of your life. But now there's hope. And so
hope is everything. And also I know doctors don't really study nutrition that much in school, right?
No, we're not taught nutrition.
That's crazy, because according to Dr. Hyman, who is brilliant, and all the stuff you've been taught, it controls everything.
Everything. So important.
Everything. And then also too, I've heard Alzheimer's being called type 3 diabetes before. Have you heard that?
Oh, I know that.
Really?
Yeah, I know that because because I'm trained as a certified recode and practitioner with Dr. Dale Bredesen to help prevent and reverse Alzheimer's.
Oh, I want to hear about that. Like, even if it's in your genetics, can you do that?
Yes, you can. Just because you've got the genes, there's this gene called ApoE4, and if you've got 2 copies of that, you're at higher risk. You've got a 50 to 90% risk of expressing Alzheimer's. However, just because you've got the DNA doesn't mean you have to express it. You can learn how to suppress it. And Dr. Dale Bredesen teaches us that there's 6 types of Alzheimer's. I feel like I'm just spewing all these statistics, but I just want to
interesting. I want our audience to know that there's hope on reversing diabetes, there's hope on reversing anxiety and depression, and that what you eat can contribute also to Alzheimer's. And how can we help heal Alzheimer's? And you can keep going with the tech stuff.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Thank you. I just love you for saying that. Just keep going, she said. Okay, so the reason I got into preventing and reversing Alzheimer's is because my uncle, who became my father, was the hope of me becoming a doctor. And he was an anesthesiologist. And whenever he would walk into the room, he would just make the room shine. Like, you know, those types of people that when they walk in, you're just like, automatically you're smiling. Well, that's the way he was. And then in 2015, 2016, before I even knew anything about Dr. Dale Bredesen and that he had written this book called The End of Alzheimer's, my uncle was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he still has Alzheimer's. And it's really sad. And so I felt like that was just a God call where, okay, Isabel, you need to learn about this and how to prevent it, because there is hope out there. And so I started learning more and more about Dr. Dale Bredesen's protocol. And so what he teaches us is, in simple form, and I don't mean to keep it, well, I keep it simple because I'm a simple-minded person. I learn simple things. So if you think of your brain like the roof of a house, and if your roof has 50 holes in it and it rains, then when it rains, your house is going to get flooded. Yeah?
Yes.
So the same thing with Alzheimer's, if you've got 50 holes in your brain that need to get plugged up, then you won't express Alzheimer's.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so the key is to identify the holes and then plug them up and then teach people how to become the CEO of their brain, the CEO of their health.
I love that. That's so cool.
And the areas, so there's 6 ways that you can get Alzheimer's. One is inflammation, and inflammation can be like a leaky gut or gum disease. And when you think of inflammation, think of fire. The word inflammation equals fire in the brain. So herpes type 1 can cause inflammation in the brain. So you look for inflammation, what's causing inflammation in your body. The second is called, we call it the sugar diabetes. And that's called glucotoxicity. And that's the pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And that's self-inflicted Alzheimer's, because you don't have to have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. But if you've got type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, you've got a higher risk of getting Alzheimer's. Shall I continue on?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. Keep going.
Okay, no, stop me if you've got any questions.
No, I understand that the risk factors and the inflammation can cause diabetes, and the nutrition from the extra sugar that we don't need can cause diabetes. Am I right?
Yes, yes. And we're not talking about type 1 diabetics, since childbirth. We're talking about adult onset diabetes, the type 2
herpes,
diabetes.
you're saying herpes can also cause diabetes from inflammation?
No, I'm sorry. Herpes can cause brain damage, can cause Alzheimer's. So
right. Brain damage. Okay, got it.
Yeah, brain damage. And then the third type is hormones. Women have the highest rate of Alzheimer's. 2/3 of people with dementia are women. And we have found that it's from our hormones, and we usually see it, around menopause, perimenopause area. So women, please get your hormones evaluated. It's not normal to forget where your keys are, forget people's names, or forget words in the middle of a sentence, or your train of thought. That's not
my
normal.
Phone. Where's my phone? That's my thing.
Yeah. Well,
thanks for bringing up all these things. And so nutritionally, once you have the Alzheimer's and the brain damage, you're saying you can reverse it?
Yes, you can. You can. And there's the fourth one is toxins. So things like mercury, mold, and also we put herpes in there, Lyme disease. And then the fifth one is vascular, like high blood pressure. We want to make sure that's taken care of. And then the sixth one is trauma, so head trauma. So all of those can increase our risk of Alzheimer's.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's figure it out and plug it up.
Pro football, I've heard a lot of those guys later on in life are suffering from Alzheimer's.
Yes, and here in New Zealand, we've got a lot of rugby players that don't wear helmets or anything, like there's no coverage. It's these little kids going out, and then they grow up. It's a big culture here to play rugby.
Sad.
Very sad.
So what are the tips you have for our audience about how can they start reversing Alzheimer's and preventing
Alzheimer's? Well, in the show notes, we've got a free masterclass that teaches them the things that they can do. But the first thing is definitely decrease your sugar intake. And go to Lisa, she can help you with that. Just decrease your sugar intake. Make sure that your whole plate of food has the correct amount of carbohydrate, the macronutrients, carbohydrate, good protein, and good fat. And you have taught extensively on that. And then the next is sleep. Sleep is so important. If we're not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, our brain shrinks.
Oh, that's not good. We need all the brain power we can get. And what about alcohol? I'm curious. Does that have a bad effect on getting Alzheimer's?
Yes, alcohol is a neurotoxin. That means a brain toxin, i.e. it kills your brain.
That's not good either.
No, so we really need to step away from the alcohol.
Completely? Like total cutting it out?
I'll be totally transparent. I love red wine. So the studies show definitely no more than 7 drinks a week. And if it's going to be anything, red wine is best. Make sure that it's organic because it's less pesticides. You're not getting all the chemicals. And let me ask you, how many glasses of wine? I know you already know the answer.
No, I love tequila. Is that okay? White tequila in moderation?
What's moderation?
Not every night, but a couple of glasses here and there.
Yeah, glasses or shots.
Well, what I mean is, like, I find that I feel hungover if I combine sugar with a drink, but if I just have a glass of tequila with rocks and club soda and lime, I feel like that's a health tonic. Am I wrong?
Um, Alcohol is a neurotoxin. So the
Good to
reason
know.
we talk about red wine is because it's got resveratrol.
Right.
Resveratrol helps your mitochondria, and then you get your energy. So
Okay.
those, and then the third one is stress. High cortisol levels shrinks our brain. So we definitely want to get our stress levels down. There's so much we can do. See, that's why we teach that on the masterclass for free, so that people have got these tools.
Well, thank you, Isabel. You are a wealth of information about how we can heal our body naturally. And I really appreciate all you're up to in the world. Where can people find you?
Well, it'll be in the show notes, but if people want to look now, it's doctoronamission.com, and it's, the long word, DOCTOR, onamission.com.
And I know we met on LinkedIn. Are you on any other social media?
Yes, we're on LinkedIn and Instagram and, all the places.
Dr. On a Mission on
doctoronamission.com.
All right. Well, thanks, Isabel.
All right. Thank you, Lisa G. Stay warm.
Thanks.